I was holding a paper cup of drip coffee when the email landed. Subject line: Trust Distribution Confirmation. 8 figures. Clean. Final. My name spelled right. I stared until the screen dimmed like it needed to breathe for me. I thought, okay, tonight. I'll tell Evan after dinner. We'll sit at the small table by the window. I'll say, there's something big. He'll reach for my hand. We'll laugh because life finally turned. That was the plan. Seattle rained. Streetlights blurred. I stepped out for flowers. Bright tulips from the corner stand. Something cheerful to carry home with the news. A bus sighed at the curb. I crossed at the walk, looked left, looked right. Headlights sliced the wet like a knife. Metal hit bone, world went sideways. The tulips burst from my hands, petals skating across the blacktop. An umbrella guy shouted. A siren chewed through the rain. I tried to say, call Evan, but the breath wouldn't line up with the words. Beep, beep, beep. Hospital light, frosted and too close. Shoulder on fire. A brace hugged my collarbone like a vice that meant well. The room smelled like sanitizer and lemon. I tested my fingers. They moved. Good. I swallowed. The water tasted like copper. I told myself, you're alive. That's the headline. Everything else is subtext. The door opened. Evan stepped in like he owned the air. He didn't touch me. He didn't set his bag down. He looked at the monitor first, then at my face like a task he hadn't scheduled. What's the damage? He asked. Not, how are you? Not, I'm here. Is this going to be expensive? The monitor kept time. Beep, beep. My chest tightened, but not from the brace. I thought you'd stay a minute, I said. The words came out thin. He checked his phone. I have a stream in an hour, he said. If you're stable, I'll come back tomorrow. A nurse adjusted the IV and shot me a look only women give each other when someone's being unkind. I almost told him then, about the email, the trust, the change about to crash through our front door. I opened my mouth. He was already by the door. Good news can wait, I said, surprising myself with how steady it sounded. But the way you just spoke to me can't. He paused. Not long. Rest, he said, and left. Rain tapped the window like it was trying to get in. My yellow raincoat hung on the chair, a small flag. One tulip petal clung to my sleeve like a warning I almost missed. You know that feeling when the room tilts, but everyone acts normal? I listened to the machine count my seconds and thought, tonight can wait. But the truth about us can't. By morning, he'd walk into my hospital room with a fiancée. They said mild concussion, fractured collarbone, bruised ribs. You're lucky, the doctor told me in that calm voice they learn in school. I nodded. Lucky is a strange word when your body feels like a drawer slammed shut. The nurse, May, moved like she knew which pain mattered and which didn't. Warm hands, quick eyes. She tightened the sling, checked the drip, tucked the blanket around my feet the way mothers do without making a speech. Breathe, she said. Short ones. In through your nose. I did. The room settled half a notch. Evan came back, but only with his questions. What's the bill? Are we out of network here? Parking is insane. He paced small, scrolling, pacing again. He asked the doctor about recovery time, not about me. The doctor answered anyway. 6 to 8 weeks. No lifting. No driving for a while. I watched him absorb those facts like a producer taking notes, already editing me out of his schedule. The phone lit his face. He looked younger in that light, not kinder, just more interested in himself. You know what I mean. May stepped between us to fix the monitor cable. She needs rest, she said. Translation, dial it down. When it was quiet again, I almost told him. I almost said, there's a trust. It's real. It's big. I rehearsed it in my head. I'll start with the boring details, then the number, then the plan. We'll celebrate later. after pain meds and soup. I opened my mouth. He made a face. Don't start a thing tonight, okay? You get dramatic when you're tired. He winked, like that made it cute. The words shrank in my throat. I nodded instead. Sure. If it were you, tell him right now or wait till morning. After he left, the hallway smelled like lemon cleaner and old coffee. Someone's foam cup sat on the nurse's station, lid half on. That smell, burnt and sweet, took me straight to Capitol Hill mornings. I could see our block, wet sidewalks, the little cafe with the crooked sign, me in my yellow raincoat, hands around a paper cup, breathing in and thinking one good thing at a time. Nora arrived just before midnight, hair in a knot, hoodie, flats squeaking on the floor. She hugged me carefully, then set down a tote bag full of comfort, charger, lip balm, socks that don't itch. I'm staying, she said, no drama. End of discussion. She pulled the chair up close and tilted it back on the two legs like she always does, like gravity answers to her. We didn't talk big. We counted breaths. She made me take 2 sips of water between every sentence. Say one important thing and then stop, she said. Doctor's orders from me. I laughed, which hurt, which made us both laugh more. Sometimes the only thing that feels like control is deciding when to laugh. My phone buzzed against the tray, a number I didn't recognize. The preview line read, Alvarez Law, available tomorrow to discuss the estate. The word estate snapped everything into focus, not the money itself, the decision, what it could change, what it should. I saved the contact, screen down, the building creaked like boats do. Somewhere outside, a horn carried over wet streets from the water, long, low, certain. It sounded like a promise. Try to sleep, Nora said. I will, I told her, and for once I wanted to mean it. The monitor steadied, my chest did too. Tired was a fact, hurt was a fact, the rest, still negotiable. I run a community foundation called Soundbridge. Grants, microloans, spreadsheets that change lives. It's not flashy, it's steady. We keep lights on in shelters. We fund neighbourhood clinics that do flu shots without asking for insurance. We pay for a welding class so a guy can get off the night shift, that kind of thing. It fits how my brain works, small fixes one after another, until a street feels different. Evan does money but fun, that's his tag. He films from our living room with a ring light and a fake plant he bought because the real one kept dying. He talks about hacks, streams of income, optics. He calls it education. Sometimes it is. He can be sharp when he wants. Then the camera goes off and he's quiet, like the battery inside him only charges under studio lights. We met at a fundraiser. He was charming, that easy kind that makes you feel like the only person at the table. I thought we balanced each other. He said I grounded him. He said he made me less serious, like serious was a flaw and not a muscle. Maybe we were both a little right. We signed a prenup. My idea. No drama, just 2 adults who knew money can scramble love. It's smart, he said on video once, talking to his followers. Smart content. Good optics. Off camera, he kissed my forehead and said, We're a team anyway. I believed him. I wanted to. Uncle Theo, everyone called him Theo even if the family tree made no sense, left the world the way he lived in it, quietly generous. He didn't have kids. He watched me build the foundation, brick by brick. He told me, over black coffee and dry muffins, You're the only person I know who can move $1 without wasting it. I brushed it off. He wrote a trust. I didn't know the number until the email. Here's the part you'll either love or hate. The trust came with a clause. 90 days to launch a program that serves people who never get to the front of the line. If I fail, money doesn't vanish, but it goes to a backup plan I don't control. It was a challenge, not a trap. He knew I'd say yes to a dare if it helped strangers. He knew me. So why didn't I tell Evan right away? Because the minute a number like that hits the air, you can't hear anything else. People talk different around it. They breathe different. And because Evan's channel had drifted from advice to performance, giveaways that weren't through compliance, a course he didn't finish building, partnerships he took because they looked big, not because they were clean, I kept asking, "What's the plan?" He kept saying, "Trust me." We were both tired of those two words. At home, there's a small table by the window, reclaimed wood. You can feel the grooves where old nails were. I picked it at a salvage yard on a rainy Saturday. The surface is uneven, so cups tip if you aren't careful. I like that. It makes you pay attention. We eat there when schedules align. We put mail there. We lean elbows there and say we're fine. It's where I pictured us the night of the email. 2 cups of tea, my yellow coat drying on the back of the chair, the ferry horn low in the distance like it always is. I'd open my laptop, show him the letter, then we'd decide together how to build something honest with it. I kept thinking about our last big talk before the accident. He wanted to rent a bigger place for the brand. I said we could wait. He said waiting kills momentum. I said debt kills more. We slept back to back that night, pretending to be asleep while practicing our next line. Work was the opposite. Work made sense. We'd just posted a grant that needed a project manager with compassion and a spine. I had 3 interviews set for next week. I loved that part. Looking for people who aren't dazzled by shiny things. People who can walk into a chaotic room and start a list. HR had been on me, kindly, about conflicts of interest. Keep lines clear, they remind everyone. We do trainings, we sign forms. Not because we don't trust each other, but because structure keeps us safe when feelings don't. I wish I could say I saw what was coming. I didn't. I saw little things. His phone face down, more late nights editing, a new perfume I didn't wear. I saw my own excuses too. He's stressed. The algorithm is weird. The market is weird. I'm tired. I'll bring it up next week after the board meeting, after the dentist, after one more grant cycle. The email forced the clock to start. 90 days. You can't ignore a second hand once you hear it. And then, because life has timing like a petty magician, the car, the flowers, the street, the hospital. When I close my eyes in that room, I feel the table under my arms, the rough grain. I hear the horn on the bay. I smell that Capitol Hill coffee. Burnt, sweet, real. I can almost see us sitting there telling the truth. But we weren't there. We were here. And the mask I kept smoothing back onto our marriage had started to slip, even if I was the only one watching. Morning came in layers, rain against glass, cartwheels, the soft hush of rubber soles. May checked my vitals and swapped the IV with the efficiency of someone who's seen 500 versions of this exact room. I was propped up, hair a mess, face yellow with hospital light. I was also ready, not brave, just done being surprised. The room clicked and hummed. Monitor, vent, rain. My yellow coat dripped from the chair like it missed the body inside it. For a minute, it was only me and the beeping, and it felt like being the last person on a ferry at night. Evan walked in with someone at his shoulder. She was my height, maybe younger, damp bangs, tucked behind one ear, a coat still beaded with rain. He didn't introduce her with an apology. He introduced her like a pitch. "Mara, this is Jade. Jade, this is, well, you know. You know that shot in a bad movie where everything goes mute except the heartbeat? It's real. Beep, beep, beep." I slid my good hand under the blanket to stop it from shaking. Jade lifted a small paper bag. "I brought tea. Honey ginger." Her voice was careful, like she was trying not to step on anything sharp. For your throat? Thanks, I said, because manners are muscle memory. Evan looked at his phone, then at me. We didn't want to make a big deal out of it, but he glanced at Jade and smiled, the kind he saves for thumbnails. We're engaged. May chose that exact second to check the monitor lead. Bless her. It gave me a full breath to choose a sentence that wouldn't cost me later. If you need an audience to perform, I said, not loud, not mean, there's a hallway. He rolled his eyes. Can we not be dramatic? You're stable. That's what matters. He gestured toward Jade as if to say, see what I deal with. The ring on Jade's hand flashed under the fluorescent tube. My ring felt heavier. Jade looked at Evan, then back to me. Hesitation lived right on her face. We filed, she said, the words tripping. The license. Yesterday. She looked at him again. You said, everything's fine, he cut in. Paperwork's a formality. Paperwork usually is, I said, until it isn't. Jade put the tea on the tray. Her eyes dropped to the tote hanging from my chair. My work badge peeked out. Clip, logo, name. I hadn't thought about it since the ambulance. She blinked, leaned in an inch, then another. The room tilted. Her mouth parted. Soundbridge, she whispered. You're Mara Quinn. Evan made a small, useless sound. I'm the interim project manager, she said to no one and to me. I applied last month. My onboarding's next week. The way she said next week broke something small and exact inside the room. Silence is a kind of math. You subtract all the safe words and see what's left. Evan tried to reset the scene. This doesn't have to be weird, he said, hands up, palms out. We're all adults here. We're not the same kind of adult, I said. The door tapped again. A man in a dark suit stepped in, crisp and calm like he belonged in every room he entered. Ms. Quinn? He asked, stopping at the threshold until I nodded. I'm David Alvarez. We spoke by email. If this is a bad time, I can... Now is fine, I said, eyes on Evan. Now is perfect. Alvarez set a slim leather folder on the rolling table. He moved the tea gently aside. I'll be brief. The trust is in order. There's a 90-day clause for program launch, which we'll calendar. Funds are available upon your signature. I can walk you through the compliance steps and timelines when you're comfortable. Evan laughed. Funds? Alvarez didn't turn toward him. This conversation is attorney-client privileged, he said mildly, still looking at me. We can also schedule a separate private visit. Private works for me, Evan said quickly, like a man jogging to catch up with his own life. We can talk numbers, strategy. No, I said. It was almost restful to hear my voice sound like mine. Anything that touches my life happens with witnesses now. Jade stood very still, hands folded like she'd learned that in a place where stillness keeps you safe. She took a half step back from Evan without looking like she had. Alvarez clicked a pen and flipped the top page. We won't sign today, he said, reading my face, the IV, the brace. Pain meds and contracts don't mix. I'll return tomorrow or the next day. We'll also need to address a potential conflict at your workplace. If Ms. Park is employed by your foundation, you'll recuse from any decision pathway. He glanced at Jade, kind but clear. We follow process. It protects everyone. Of course, I said. I'll notify HR this afternoon. Good, Alvarez said. He slid a business card closer. My cell, call if anything, shifts. He meant Evan. He meant the way the air felt. He didn't need to say it. When he left, Evan finally turned his full face to me, the content creator in him, catching up to the story. Okay, he said, bright and tight. Let's not overreact. I have ideas for how we can... We? I asked. He softened his voice like that would fix the meaning. Baby, come on. May coughed. The monitor agreed with her. Jade's throat worked. I didn't know, she told me, about you, about this. I believe you, I said, and it was the truth. You can hear it when a lie hasn't learned its lines yet. Evan's jaw ticked. Can I talk to you alone? No, I said. Not anymore. After they left, I dictated an email to HR with my good hand, one clipped sentence at a time. Subject, potential conflict, immediate recusal. Body, I will not participate in any hiring, supervision or funding decisions that touch Jade Park. Please reassign oversight. CC, Board Chair, General Counsel, send. I forwarded Alvarez's card to Nora with a heart and the words, sit with me tomorrow? She responded with 3. Already outside, coffee. That's friendship. It arrives before you name what you need. Day 0, hospital. Don't sign. Notify HR. Ask Nora to witness everything. List program ideas that hit the clause. Transit vouchers for night shift workers. Mobile legal clinic at the ferry terminal. A micro grant for caregivers who age out of deadlines because life keeps dragging them away. Day 60. 2 partners signed. Ferry pilot confirmed. The checklist started to look like a map instead of a sentence. Days in between blurred. Emails, forms, small wins, small angers, the kind you only feel in a doorway. I let Evan's texts pile up like junk mail. Jade stayed strictly professional at work, protocol and distance, then sent one line through HR. Thank you for the reassignment. A late-night city notification lit my phone. Marriage application received. 2 names, his and hers, dated days after the accident. I stared until the letters stopped being letters. I screenshotted it to Alvarez. For your file. I turned off every light and didn't sleep. Day 85. Site prepped. Flyers up. Intake forms translated into the languages our clients actually speak. We walked the route from the bus stop to the door, just to make sure no one gets lost on the last corner. Mid-morning before the signing, Evan texted, I'm coming. For closure. He didn't ask, he informed. I sent one line back. There will be witnesses. He replied with a thumbs up, then prayer hands, like charm was a Swiss army knife that never dulled. I set the leather folder on my table, opened the line where my name waited. I touched the paper. Not yet. Not without the right quiet. The room filled with the soft sounds of a city that keeps moving whether you do or not. Distant buses, wet tyres, a horn from the bay. I looked at the coat on the chair. Yellow. Ready. I thought about the tea Jade left cooling on that plastic tray. Honey ginger. I thought about the county inbox with 2 names that don't belong together yet. I closed the folder and rested my hand on it. Not to hold it down, to claim it. Tomorrow, I told the room, we finish the part that's mine. What would you say to him if he followed you into that room? The conference room was smaller than I pictured. No skyline, no drama. Just a window onto a brick wall, a soft lamp, and a table with a surface that felt like it had lived another life. Good. I like things that have already survived something. Alvarez set the folder down and lined a pen beside it like a runway. Nora took the chair to my left and kicked off her shoes under the table like she does in every hard meeting. The clock hummed. Outside, the rain had finally given up. Evan arrived with air around him, the way some people wear confidence like cologne. He gave Alvarez a handshake and me a smile that belonged to a thumbnail. He opened his mouth to start selling. Before we begin, Alvarez said, gentle and immovable, I'll confirm for the record. Ms. Quinn, are you comfortable? Clear-headed? Is anyone pressuring you to sign or not sign? I'm clear, I said. No pressure. I looked at Evan. Not anymore. The door eased open again. Jade. She stood just inside, palms together, gaze anchored to the carpet. I'll stay by the wall, she spoke toward Alvarez. Not to me, not to Evan. HR asked me to witness any conversation that touches employment. It wasn't a power move, it was compliance. It was also a line in the sand. Alvarez nodded. Fine. He walked me through the pages, clause summaries, program deadlines, guardrails. Every sentence had a place to stand. He tapped the signature lines and slid the pen across. You sign here, here, and initial there. Then I notarize. Evan leaned forward, elbows wide. Look, we can be smart about this. Coordinate the narrative. Perception is everything. If you need a camera to be kind, I said, you're in the wrong room. Nora's grin was small and savage. Alvarez didn't react at all. Professionals are their own climate. My hand hovered over the first line. The pen felt heavy and honest. Paper weighted like a living thing. Breath in, breath out. I wrote my name. Once. Twice. Initials that looked steadier than I felt. The scratch of ink was louder than Evan's sales pitch, louder than my heart, louder than the quiet between us. I signed the last line, set the pen down, and slid the folder back to Alvarez. He stamped, dated, signed. Done, he said, a simple word, a door opening and closing in the same breath. My phone buzzed on the table. Email preview, big enough to read without touching it. County clerk, duplicate marriage inquiry, which, in plain English, means the county clock just started on something he can't edit with a thumbnail. Alvarez's eyes flicked to mine. He didn't smile. He didn't need to. I'll note it, he said, and slid a small card across, as if I didn't already have his number. Nora reached and flipped my phone over. The screen went dark. Evan tried again, softer now, like whispering would fix it. Can we talk privately? 10 minutes, 5. I can help with... I'm funding Bridge Pass, I said. It launches on schedule. It serves people who don't get to the front of the line. You're not part of it. Do not contact me about it. His face flickered, charm searching for a socket. I thought I needed you to witness this, I added, and surprised myself with how easy it was to say. Turns out I don't. Perception is reality, he muttered like a line from his own show. Reality, I said, is the door behind you. Use it. He stood. The chair legs made that ugly scrape sound people remember longer than speeches. He touched the back of it like a man considering one more word. He found none. The latch clicked. Outside, a ferry horn called from the bay. Long, low, certain. The quiet it left behind felt like clean sheets. Alvarez gathered the papers, neat as a prayer. Congratulations, he said, not like a party, more like a verdict. We'll move your program to phase 2. I'll send the checklist. Nora bumped my shoulder. Breathe. I did. In through my nose, short ones. The room came back into shape. The table under my palm felt solid. Grain rough, promise kept. Bridge Pass then, I said. Bridge Pass, Alvarez echoed. I picked up the pen one more time just to feel the weight. Then I closed the folder and pushed my chair back. The door's there, I said to the room that had been a battlefield, and was now just a room. Let's go build something. We launched on a Thursday. Drizzle, of course. Seattle's way of blessing and testing you at the same time. We taped the last sign at the community centre, bold arrows, plain words, then propped the doors wide. The first ferry horn of the morning rolled over the parking lot like a queue line. Bridge Pass looked small on paper. In person, it was movement. A mum with 2 kids colouring at a corner table while she filled out an intake form. A janitor in night shift boots asking if the transit voucher worked on the late route. A nursing student whispering that she just needed someone to read a letter with her. We kept the coffee hot and the pens working. We said people's names back to them the way banks say account numbers. Carefully, exactly. Jade worked the intake desk with another coordinator. No speeches, no side eyes. Policy made polite. She asked questions that left dignity in the room. At noon, we passed each other by the printer. Good flow, she said low. We'll need more forms in Spanish." "I'll handle forms, no press," she added, like a promise to the work. I nodded. "On it." That was all. It was enough. Alvarez stopped by, checked boxes, didn't linger. "You did the thing," he said, "on time." Then he left a stack of blank receipts, because lovely systems, people always bring paper like it's a love language. About Evan, I kept it neutral the way a weather report keeps it neutral. The prenup held. The county did what counties do when filings don't add up. I didn't post, I didn't hint. I picked up my phone only to set alarms for grant windows and bus schedules. If people asked, I said the program took all my hours, and that was gloriously true. We closed at 5 and restocked for Friday. After the last client left, I locked the cash box and exhaled. My shoulder ached in that healed but not forgotten way. Nora tossed me the keys. "You're still standing," she said, "and so is this." At home, I bought the table I'd been eyeing. Reclaimed wood, edges stubborn, surface honest. It arrived the next week. I slid it under the window and pressed my palm to the grain. The yellow coat hung on the chair like a flag that finally found the right wind. Out on the bay, another horn. Long, low, certain. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. The room already knew. It wasn't about the number, not really. It was about the table under my hands, the rough grain that doesn't pretend to be smooth. About breath that finally came easy. About a yellow coat drying on the back of a chair. About work that moves without applause. I didn't win over him. I chose me. May's voice still sits in my head. Short breaths, in through your nose. Nora still steals my pens and my worst jokes. Jade still keeps her eyes on the work, not the noise. The ferry still calls, long, low, certain, and I let it pass without answering, because I'm not waiting at that dock anymore. You know that moment when a room stops feeling dangerous and starts feeling like home? That's this. Not fireworks, not revenge porn, just boundaries that hold, paper signed, doors that open the right way, and a program that keeps the line moving for people who've been told to wait their whole lives. If you were me, if it was your reign, your table, your life, would you choose the law, the quiet, or the megaphone? I know my answer.